Welcome to episode 20 of Drew's Basketball Crew. Let's celebrate with some Point Brewery root beer, diet root beer. We drinking that today, celebrating, right? We made it Saturday, and also, right, we have a full slate of basketball today. So a great thing to celebrate about. Bucks are on national television, so just wanted to get that out of the way and let you know Fantasia Sports has got us covered for the competitions and contests today. I'll be making a 10-teamer. See if we can fill that one up right away here on a Saturday. But look, it's gonna be a great day for basketball. Is that's what I'm saying. But let's roll here through right the slate. I'll get it right into it. We know the drill. It's the basketball crew. We previewed today's slate, gonna be in Saturday, March 4th. Talk about the best value you're gonna find. And lastly, we kind of talk about matchups. We talk about kind of strategies to employ when you build your own lineup today on Fantasia Sports or wherever you play, right? So we'll talk about that again. If you want to join me on Fantasia, that link is going to be down below. But let's talk about the slate here. So first game is actually 4:00 Central, and that we like that because historically, we get those Saturday afternoon games, which kind of throw the slates off because we got one at noon, then we got one at like 4, and then we have the rest at 7 or 9. Don't have that today. What we do have though, again, 4:00 Toronto and Washington's your first one. Not much injury or not much minutes things going on here. Jakob Poeltl, though, we know has been trending up. He's been playing better and better as he's gone on with Toronto. So that's going to be something to monitor. A good matchup against Washington, Daniel Gafford. Also, Kristaps Porzingis is back. I'm intrigued to see kind of with Washington what we're going to see from that, right? Beal, Kuzma, and Porzingis, of course, being those three guys. Going to be waiting on that. We do have a lot of value, though, in this Detroit-Cleveland game. This game does have blowout potential. So that's kind of where it gets tough, especially on the Cleveland side. It's like, do you want to go up and get those stars and when I say stars, talking about Donovan Mitchell, right? Talking about those guys like Mobley, Allen, Garland. It's going to be tough because you get those guys, it's against a 15.5-point spread. Makes it kind of nervous. Fourth quarter, you might only be getting 3 quarters from those guys. I think where I'd prefer more to take guys who we know are going to for sure play, regardless of, score. And I feel with some of Detroit's stars, I think James Wiseman, for example, we could see him get some, get a decent chunk of minutes tonight. Not a great matchup against Mobley, Allen, and that Cleveland defense, but certainly fine to take a guy like him. That's kind of where I'd be looking at. Otherwise, the centers is kind of the story because Jalen Duren's out, Isaiah Stewart's out. So I'm just looking at that. That's going to be where we're looking at. Another guy to throw out there is Rodney McGruder. Again, at the 3 spot with Detroit. Intrigued to see kind of what minutes we'll get out of McGruder tonight, but I'm not really looking at Isaiah Livers, who's probably going to be the 4. I'm more looking at Wiseman, depending on price, and Jaden Ivey. So those are kind of the 2 guys I'd be looking at with Detroit. I'm probably fading Cleveland tonight. It's too much, in a slate like this when we have, and I know I said full slate. The full slate right there's 10 games yesterday, I believe. We have 6 games, so we have 12 teams playing, but there's enough there where we can make something better here, I feel. So gonna avoid Cleveland. We're gonna go to Atlanta, Miami. This game should be close. This game is gonna produce some good stuff. Atlanta right away. I'm looking at DeJounte Murray's been on fire lately, and the matchup's very good. I'd imagine they're gonna throw Jimmy Butler at Murray, but not certain. So I do think Trae Young is going to be a good play tonight. Plan to put him in as kind of one of my top players tonight. Clint Capella's been doing well. Again, a tough matchup against Bam. I'm more looking at the 4s for Atlanta and Miami. Kevin Love probably starting tonight. I think that's going to be a matchup I'm gonna want. So I'll be looking at that. I'll be certainly exploring Kevin Love as a value play, right, based on price. Also, John Collins. Um, I like what Collins has done. Obviously, it hasn't been as much as we've wanted. Keep my new coach with Atlanta. There's just a lot of factors we need to take into account in this one. But on the Miami side, I'm more looking at Kevin Love as kind of the value. Again, I'll talk about some other players. Again, this Houston San Antonio game, which I'll go to right now. Again, is going to be where we're going to get some really good value. Reason being, San Antonio has a lot of players out tonight. Kem Birch, Doug McDermott, Devin Vassell. It looks like Keldon Johnson's not playing too. And it's when Keldon Johnson and Vassell are both out, that's where we see players step up. Jeremy Sohan, for example, he had a big game a few games ago. The spread in this one's close too. So I mean, there's another good reason to take this one. But two players I'm mainly looking at is Kato Bates Diop, right? I'm not sure about Malachi Branham, right? Just yet. There's really three players. It's the 3 through 5 with San Antonio. I'm not saying you stack them. I don't think that makes sense. But I do feel Bates Diop, Sohan, and Collins, one of those three, depending on positional need and value. Again, it depends basically on the price where you're playing, but I do like all three of those guys tonight. I probably lean Sohan over those three. Probably go Sohan, Collins, Bates Diop in that order is how I'd roll. On Houston's side, I'd be looking at Kevin Porter or Jalen Green. No Şengün tonight. Şengün, when Porter and Green don't play, yes. When Porter and Green play, Şengün's usage goes down. I mean, it's been a weird story in the NBA. Şengün had that big stretch, then he gets benched in the middle of the third quarter in games, and it's like, what's going on? But I do think Houston this Houston San Antonio game is going to produce some players to use and some really good DFS winners tonight, I feel. Let's go to Philly and Milwaukee. It's going to be a good one on ABC. I'll be watching. In injury stuff right now, Wesley Matthews is out for Milwaukee, and looks like everyone else will be playing. So what we're looking at right away is, what do we think here in this game? Like, do you feel Giannis is going to be, you pay up and get Giannis tonight? I think, yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like if you were able to save enough in terms of salary and you can pay up and get Giannis, you got to do it tonight. Do you want to take Embiid? I personally am not even trying to be a biased Bucks fan, but I think Embiid will have a good game, but I don't think Embiid will like produce value at where he's going to be priced at. I don't think he's going to have that good of a game where he's going to have that value. Because I do think this Bucks defense is built to defend guys like Joel Embiid. So I think about that. I also think about Holiday on Harden. I feel like a guy who would have success. I feel like Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, those guys are going to be the ones. If the 76ers win this game, it's going to be one of those two guys having a big game. I really feel, right? I mean, obviously, it's what I think Harden and Embiid are going to have games you expect from them. But I think the guys who are going to have games that, go above and beyond, we're looking at, it's Maxey and Harris, the guys who have to. With Milwaukee, it's tough, right? I mean, Giannis is obviously the one you'd look at. I do like when Giannis is playing, I do like Brook Lopez in games like these. Just with how, what Brook Lopez is able to do, coming off screens, and we see pick and pop situations, especially with the 5 we have starting here. I mean, Holiday, Allen, Connaughton. Like to see that. I don't know about Middleton, kind of his status. We'll see what kind of minutes we'll get out of him. But I would say Brook Lopez, if you're looking at a center, if you're not taking Zach Collins, I think, Brook Lopez is a great alternative. And then two of these other guys in this last game, Minnesota, Sacramento. In this one, again, Jalen Noel is going to be out. Karl-Anthony Towns with Minnesota. And then Rashawn Holmes for Sacramento's game time decision. But in this one, we're going to have a lot of scoring. I'll tell you that. Again, we know Sacramento. Sacramento likes to be in those high-scoring games. So what I'm looking at, though, mainly with Sacramento is, is that the matchup with the center, Sabonis with Sacramento, Gobert with Minnesota. I don't know. I personally am not taking either of these centers tonight. I'm looking at a guy like Keegan Murray and, tonight. I do like his matchup here against Minnesota. Um, Hopefully we're hoping for perimeter shots really with Murray. We're hoping they're falling. It would be the incentive to take a guy like him. Also Anthony Edwards. I think, you know, scoring output wise, and it depends on price, but I think Edwards is going to be your best bet. I don't know who Sacramento's going to throw at him. Harrison Barnes, probably. Not the no way Kevin Herter's the one guarding Anthony Edwards. I would imagine because I'd imagine Conley's going to be on Fox, but Barnes on Edwards, Murray is not going to be quick enough, and I just don't know how Kevin Herter would fare against a guy like Anthony Edwards. So that's something to keep in mind. Is kind of Edwards that might be a mismatch tonight. So keep that in mind. But otherwise, yeah, I mean this one I'm looking at Edwards. Probably not taking any other centers, and I'm taking Keegan Murray. And if you need a guard, still De'Aaron Fox, but I'd take Trae Young over De'Aaron Fox tonight, in case you're wondering. So we'll talk more about some value here, but first, again, I got to tell you about that root beer I've been drinking, the Point Brewery, the Diet Root Beer. And, of course, we talked about it, right? It's made right here in Wisconsin in Stevens Point. It's handcrafted, again, small batches, using the purest water, all natural vanilla and root beer flavors. And then this one, right, 0 sugar, 0 calories. And again, it's rich, creamy, and fun. And if you get it with sugar, it's made with 100% real sugar. So don't forget that. That link is also down below. And again, we love Point Brewery. You can check that out on Instagram too. So following them, I post them along with the story. So when the episode's up, so keep that in mind. But let's talk some value here. So when we look at value right away, Miami, we're thinking. I mentioned Bates Diop as one guy right away, but I'm going to stick with my gut, and I'm going to talk about John Collins again. I do like what his matchup is and where he's priced at. I do think he's going to provide you some really nice value tonight. Maybe a guy who I should talk about more, Mike Conley, right? Just going through it again. He's going to have a good matchup too, just depending on who they throw at. Who Sacramento throws at Edwards. It could create actually a mismatch with Mike Conley. So if we're going to think a little advanced there, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Otherwise, again, I mentioned Bates Diop with Sacramento. Depending on pricing, he could produce the most value, right? If where you're playing is already anticipating Zach Collins' increased usage, and you with Jeremy Sohan as well, I'd look at that. Also, I should have mentioned, because I mean, even on my fantasy basketball team, I like Fred VanVleet's matchup tonight against Washington. I have him in my lineup. I'm hoping I saved this game for him to lock it in on Sleeper because I like VanVleet's matchup so much against Washington. So that's another one, depending, because you might get him at a discount with how he's played this year. So not a bad play at all. Again, I mentioned Giannis. If you can pay up for him, please go ahead and get him. Kevin Love, again, could be another good one. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, those are kind of like the main guys I've mentioned. I can reiterate those San Antonio guys like Keegan Murray, John Collins, Trae Young. If you're looking for the point guard, Mike Conley, those are kind of the main ones. We talked again with Houston too a little. Potentially getting one of those guards. But otherwise, let me know if you have any other value plays. I'd love to hear everyone's plays tonight. Again, the lineup will be up everywhere here shortly after this episode. So let me know what you think about my lineup. Again, join the contest. I'll have it up right away here, Drew Sports Crew on Fantasia. It'll be up right in the app when you join contest. So again, check that out. And I want to thank you all here for listening. Again, at Drew Sports Crew, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Go check that out. I'll be back here tomorrow night talking all Wisconsin sports. So check that out as well. But again, that's going to wrap it up here for myself, Drew Skyberg, here on the Saturday morning. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.